The town of Perdition's Ridge was no place for mercy. Dust hung heavy in the summer heat as flies buzzed around a wooden platform in the middle of town square. A crowd had gathered, not for goods, but for souls. Sheriff Macklin stood with his arms crossed, watching the spectacle like it was another day's work. Behind him, a frail woman in chains sat on her knees, her wrist shackled before her and a bruise blooming beneath one eye. Up next, runaway convict, caught stealing medicine from the railroad, barked the auctioneer. No kinfolk, no rights, no voice. Starting bid, $10. A few men chuckled. One spat into the date. No one bid. Her name was Clara Dane, and once upon a time she'd been the daughter of a schoolteacher. But war, famine, and men had taken all of that away. Now she knelt in chains, her long dark hair matted with sweat and humiliation. "I ain't no convict," she muttered, mostly to herself. "I stole that medicine for a dying child." The crowd didn't care. The auctioneer grunted, scanning the crowd. "Well, come on now. She's got 2 working hands and a mouth. Surely someone can make use of her." That's when they heard the slow, heavy clump of hooves against dry dirt. Heads turned. A rider approached on a black stallion, dust trailing behind like a ghost. The cowboy dismounted with purpose, tall, broad-shouldered, with a thick shadow of stubble and a revolver on each hip. His coat was sun-bleached, his hat low over his brow. "I'll take her," he said simply. The crowd murmured. The sheriff narrowed his eyes. "And just who are you?" barked the auctioneer. The cowboy tossed a badge onto the platform. "Deputy Marshal Beckett Lane. I've been tracking this woman across 3 counties. She's not yours to sell." Clara raised her head, stunned. She didn't know the man. The sheriff picked up the badge. It was real. "But she's a thief," someone in the crowd yelled. Beckett looked straight into Clara's eyes and said, "I'll take full responsibility for her. She's coming with me." Then he drew out a paper from his stool bag. "Governor's pardon," he added, handing it to the sheriff. "Signed and sealed." Sheriff Macklin grunted. "She's your burden now." Beckett knelt beside her, his voice low. "Can you walk?" Clara stared at him, heart pounding. "Who are you?" "Someone who hates the way this world treats the broken." Chapter 2, Ashes and Echoes. They rode out of Perdition's Ridge before sundown. Clara didn't speak for miles. Beckett didn't push. They rode into the hills, where the wind was cooler and the stars weren't choked by smoke and sin. When they reached a ridge overlooking a quiet valley, Beckett dismounted and helped her down gently. "You're free now," he said. Clara's voice trembled. "You risked your badge for me. Why?" Beckett took a slow breath, staring into the fire he built. "My wife died 3 winters ago. Fever took her. The doc was in the next county, but no one would loan me a horse because she was Apache." He paused. "When I heard about a woman stealing medicine for a child, it brought it all back." Clara's eyes filled. "The boy I stole for, he lived. His mother gave me bread. Then the railroad men caught me." Beckett nodded. "Then it was worth it." She looked at him for a long moment. Beneath the hardness of his jaw and the calluses on his hands, there was grief, real and raw. A man who had lost and kept riding. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the auction platform, heard the laughter, felt the iron around her wrists. But when the wind grew colder, Beckett placed his coat around her shoulders without a word. She whispered a thank you she hadn't spoken in years. Chapter 3. The Gunslingers Passed. The next morning, Beckett saddled his horse with the air of a man always ready to run. Clara followed. "Where are we going?" "Montrose County," he said. "They need a deputy. I was thinking of staying put for a while. You can come with me, or head your own way." Clara studied his face. "And what if I stay?" You'll have a roof. Food. I'll pay you fair for work. Her lips curled into a bitter smile. So I'll still be working to pay off what the world says I owe. Beckett turned slowly. You owe nothing, Clara, but work gives dignity. Choice gives freedom. She didn't answer, but she rode with him. Days passed. The land shifted from red dust to grassy hills. They stayed in bunk houses and ate by creek beds. One evening, while fixing a stirrup, Beckett winced in pain. Clara reached for his arm and pushed up his sleeve. A jagged scar ran from shoulder to elbow. Bullet? She asked. Ambush. Back in Kansas. Lost a friend that day. Clara touched the scar lightly. You carry your wounds quiet. And you carry yours like armor. Their eyes met, and for the first time, she smiled, soft, hesitant. That night, they shared a fire and silence that didn't need to be filled. Chapter 4, A Past That Won't Stay Buried. Montrose was a peaceful town. Or so it seemed. Beckett took up the deputy job. Clara worked at the boarding house and helped tend the wounded at Doc Alton's clinic. Her touch was steady, her knowledge vast. Soon, the townsfolk began to trust her. But peace doesn't last in the West. One evening, a rider stormed into town, blooded and frantic. Bandits, Comanche crossing. They hit the Benson Ranch. Took Mary. Beckett's eyes darkened. Clara stood beside him. Let me ride, too. Beckett stared at her. You're not a fighter. But I know what it feels like to be taken. If Mary's alive, she'll need someone who understands. He hesitated, then nodded. They rode out with a posse of 6. By dawn, they tracked the outlaws to a box canyon. The gunfight was brutal. Lead flew. 2 deputies fell. Beckett took a shot to the thigh but kept firing. Clara crawled through brush to the outlaw camp and found Mary, tied and terrified. Clara untied her, shielding her with her own body as gunshots cracked through the canyon. Clara! Beckett's voice rang out. She toned, just as an outlaw raised his rifle toward Beckett's back. Without thinking, Clara grabbed a fallen pistol and fired. The outlaw collapsed. Chapter 5, Redemption in Blood and Dust. The battle was won. The outlaws fled or died. Beckett limped to Clara, blood soaking his leg. You saved my life. She helped him sit, tears stinging her eyes. You saved mine first. Back in Montrose, the town welcomed them as heroes. But Clara didn't want cheers. She only wanted peace. Weeks passed. Beckett recovered. Clara continued at the clinic. The nightmares faded, little by little. Trust returned, like morning light after too many nights of storm. One quiet Sunday, as Beckett leaned on a crutch watching the sunset, Clara walked up beside him. You never asked what I wanted to do with my life, she said. He looked at her. You tell me. I want to heal. I want to help. And I want a place I can belong. Beckett smiled. You already have that, if you want it. She reached for his hand. I want you, Beckett, and I want to never feel like property again. You never were, he said. You're the strongest soul I've ever known. Then, for the first time not born of fear or survival, they kissed beneath the blood-orange sky of the west. Epilogue. 2 names on the door. Months later, the clinic bore a new sign. Dane and Lane Healing House. Clara wore a ring of braided silver and turquoise, carved by a local Apache craftsman. Beckett wore a smile more often than a gun. They healed together, not just wounds of the flesh, but scars too deep to see.